take a moment and think about all the relationships we have in our lives. Some of these relationships are not by choice, right? Such as our family members, but most other relationships in your life are a matter of choice. Who do we choose to surround ourselves with every day? Who do we choose to trust the most? To lean on, to learn from, to care for? Who do we allow to harm us? Today, we're going to learn about the various types of relationships in our lives and reflect on which types we need more or less of. Dr. John Townsend and Dr. Henry Cloud, they wrote a book that categorizes the relationships in our lives into 7 C's. The first C is contaminants. These are people who delight in your pain. They want to ruin opportunities for you. They, lower your confidence. They crush your dreams. When you want to go for something, they don't believe you can do it. Many years ago, I befriended a new girl in the Chinese fellowship that I was leading. At first, she was just someone that I would care for, and I would be the one giving more in this new friendship. But soon I noticed that, she would pick on me, she would put me down, she would tell me what to do. But I just continued to care for her. However, eventually I found her to be just far too negative. When I shared with her painful experiences, instead of showing me compassion, she would blame me and say things like, Wendy, if you did A instead of B, well, then this wouldn't have happened to you. Eventually, I stopped hanging out with her because she became a contaminant in my life. It was a really difficult balance since she was, still a church member. Proverbs says, "One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." The second C stands for chronics. These are people who really need you, who rely a lot on you. They come to you repeatedly to solve their problems. They're not bad people in nature, but often they drain our energy and time. We don't really find satisfaction in these types of relationships because we don't see growth in them. We don't see any fruit of our labor in their lives. They just come to you over and over again with the same type of problems that you can't seem to help solve. And often these people need more than what we can offer. We need to set boundaries with them, and they need to take responsibility for their own problems and not, rely entirely on other people. We still need to let them know that we care about them, but they need help from someone who is more capable. At church, unfortunately, we often see, burned out cell leaders or pastors or, Sunday school teachers. And that's because they feel they have to carry everyone's burdens and help solve everybody else's problems. Their energy and love and time have been completely depleted by chronics. So by setting proper boundaries, it helps to keep us mentally and spiritually healthy. The third C is care. These are people we care for, we sacrifice for. For example, at church, I care for members of youth fellowship. Even though we are the ones giving more of ourselves in these types of relationships, we can also receive a lot of satisfaction and joy. We need to know our strengths and boundaries. It's important to prioritize our time first with our family and close friends, then we can offer love and care to those in need. Our lives can be nourished by having these people to care for. Of course, this care group can also be people in your community. People who don't know Christ, people who really need help. You can sacrifice your time and energy by volunteering to care for those in need. Job 6:14 says, "For the despairing man there should be kindness from his friend, so that he does not forsake the fear of the Almighty." The fourth C is casuals. These are often friends that we, share common interests and we have fun with. Within the church, we can have many casuals. It's actually really healthy to get to know many people in the church outside of your close, circle or your cell group. For example, I got to know some of the elderly people in church through my parents and through my grandfather. I got to know people on both the Chinese and the English ministry because I serve on both sides. If you're a student, casuals can be your friends from school that you just simply hang out with at lunch or after school. Although casuals are not the closest people in our lives, there are often many opportunities to show compassion and care for them. The fifth C is colleagues. These are people that we know based on working relationships. You share things like responsibilities, skill sets, deadlines, goals. Our professional performance is important at work, but so is our attitude towards our colleagues. If you're a student, then your colleagues are your classmates or, like project group members. Even though we usually can't choose who our colleagues are, we can choose how we treat them. We often spend more time with our colleagues than anyone else, so it's vital to build positive relationships at work and school. Our colleagues can become our friends too. At church, we can also have colleagues. These might be people we serve with, for example, on the AV team, or if you're on the worship team, maybe you go on a short-term mission, or just your fellow cell group leaders. For example, my colleagues at church include fellow counselors like Betty and Wenying, Ronnie, Mary, and we work towards the same goals, and we help to support each other when we encounter problems. My church and work colleagues, they may not be the closest people in my life, but they are vital to my daily life. There are so many opportunities to show care and compassion among colleagues. You will become known as someone who is trustworthy and sincere, and you will attract more positive working relationships. The sixth C is coaches. These are people who care for us, who help us and grow in many ways. Coaches are people that we have a personal relationship with, okay? So it's not someone that you barely know or is just famous. We may have multiple coaches in our lives, such as a spiritual coach, family coach, financial coach, sports coach, music coach. Within the church, we may have several different coaches. For example, Pastor Lee has been my church dad and spiritual coach all my life. In the past, people like Mrs. Lee and other worship leaders, they taught me how to serve as a church pianist. Growing up, Betty and several other people were my church fellowship leaders, and they set a really good example for me on how to lead a fellowship. Now, Pastor Ronnie is helping me to teach youths and to be a good counselor. Each of these coaches in my life have special gifts, and they help mold me into a better Christian and servant. A good student always attracts a good teacher. Do you have these types of coaches in your life? The seventh and final C is comrades. These are our closest friends, our lifelines. Comrades are friends we are totally committed to and who we intentionally spend a lot of time with. This can include, of course, your spouse. So it's not just a casual friendship. These are people that we purposely schedule to see and stay connected with. Usually we have a small number of these comrades in our lives. To maintain a relationship with our comrades requires commitment, creativity, communication, and mindful listening. For example, one of my comrades is Ronnie's wife, Eva. We first started out just as casual roommates, but our friendship grew much deeper. Even though she's now a new mom and very busy with church and work, we still commit to spending time with each other. We're very creative in the way that we spend time with each other. For example, we might work out or watch TV or play with her baby. We also communicate about many things, and we give each other advice and our different points of views. Proverbs says, "Better is open rebuke than hidden love. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses." It also says, "Perfume and incense bring joy to the heart, and the pleasantness of a friend springs from their heartfelt advice." Comrades are so important that we prioritize them over all other relationships. These people, they might change as you go through different stages of life, but comrades are the people who love you the most, who share the same purpose in life, who help carry your burdens, and who are utterly honest with you. Who are the comrades in your life? Today, I hope that we can all reflect on all the relationships we have. Let's surround ourselves with people who can help us grow, who we can trust, and who we love and care for. Beware of the negative influences in your lives and set proper boundaries for them. May God give us the wisdom to choose our friends wisely.